dealing with injuries. And one of those injuries, Frank, Jalen Brunson, guy you know very well, is the neck injury that he woke up with Tuesday morning. And I think you'll agree with me, Frank. If he was able to play, if there was any way he could get on the court, he would have been on the court Tuesday night against New Orleans. He wouldn't just have sat the game to try to get a breather in the middle of a long season. He would want to play. So that tells you a little bit about the severity of the injury. But just this team without Brunson, I mean, what do you make of them?
Yeah, it's going to be really tough, and I think the injuries are starting to catch up with them, obviously. When you're missing Julius Randle, who's a big-time scorer, has the ball a lot. OG Anunoby, who would play well after they acquired him from Toronto, had played really well, and obviously Brunson was an all-star this year, and Mitchell Robinson as well. It's hard to win when your guys are hurt, and I think when they wake up today, though, and you look at the standings, to be in fourth place in the Eastern Conference, to be ahead of Miami, to be ahead of Philadelphia, and of course Philadelphia's kind of fallen apart with what's happened with Joel Embiid and even the Indiana Pacers, who had gotten off to a good start. So I think, the Knicks are still in a pretty good position. As you know, the month of March is always sneaky because right around the trade, the All-Star break, you get that week off and there's, all this rest. And then before you know it, everyone's playing about 16, 17 games in March. So March is a tough part of the schedule. They need their guys back. I don't know when they're going to be back or if they're going to be back. The OG Anunoby thing worries you. Was he damaged goods when the Knicks traded for him? I don't know about that, but I do know that Brunson wants to be back there. You hope they can get him back against a team like the Golden State Warriors, who right now are absolutely flying.
Right. We'll find out more about Brunson's status later Wednesday for that Golden State game. It sounded like a pain tolerance issue, but you don't want to mess around with the neck, obviously. And then you're talking about Isaiah Hartenstein, the other short-term ailment that the Knicks are dealing with. He sat Tuesday, but based on what Tom Thibodeau said, it seemed more so like second game of a back-to-back. We're ramping him up to try to get him back to the minutes load that we need him to play. So this might have been like a scheduled absence for Hartenstein. I don't know if it was the result of anything that happened that flared up his Achilles ailment. I would assume then that he's back either Thursday for Golden State or Sunday against Cleveland. It seems like they're just trying to ramp him up there. But how important has he been to this team with Mitchell Robinson out? Have you been surprised by what you've seen from Isaiah?
Look at some of the players that they're getting it done with, and Isaiah Hartenstein has been really good. He defends, he runs the court, he rebounds, he just makes so many hustle plays. And the one thing about the Knicks, and this has a lot to do, I think, with Tom Thibodeau and certainly Jalen Brunson, it just seems like everyone kind of understands their role and fits in. And that's why when they made the trade to bring in OG Anunoby, it was to fit into what they already have. And I think Isaiah Hartenstein has definitely been that guy. Had the big steal the other night against Detroit. Then, of course, the Knicks turned the ball over again. I felt like I was watching, like a U11 basketball game. You don't normally see 3 or 4 turnovers at one end of the court before a basket is made or a team crosses half court. But you need those type of intangible players. And I think, you could tell that they've done a good job kind of building a team around both Jalen Brunson and Julius Randle, but kind of, getting players that fit what Tom wants to do, guys that play both ends of the court and especially defend, which ultimately is going to help you win in the playoffs. Yeah, you certainly need offense, but you have to be able to get stops, something Cleveland couldn't do last year in the playoffs, and certainly something that the Knicks did up until Game 6 against the Miami Heat.
Right. Yeah, defensively, it's going to be interesting to see where they are as you get towards the postseason. The Hartenstein, Mitchell Robinson, Julius Randle.